In today's video, I wanted to discuss the quest, The Power of the Atom, featured in Fallout 3. This entertaining quest has many different pathways and possible endings, in which make it a great case study. For many, Megaton was likely the first city they ever visited within the Capital Wasteland. From the outside, it appears as though it's a scrounged up pile of scrap attempting to pass as a civilization. From the inside, it's technically like that still, but the city is full of life and unique characters. The first one to introduce themselves to the player is Lucas Sims, the acting mayor and sheriff of town. The conversation begins with learning more about your estranged father. It can then be steered in the direction of the city itself. Megaton gets its name from the giant, intact pre-war bomb that sits at the center of town. Most folks know that it's still active, but with no external force to set it off, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Well, that's where this quest begins. Lucas Sims is the man to speak to in order to get things going.
Good to see you're staying out of trouble. Oh, all right. Fine. But listen here. Just take a look at it first. Go easy. If you get the job done, there'll be 100 caps in it for you. Not an option, I'm afraid. We aren't exactly rolling in cash down here. Great. Go ahead and see what you can do. Just be careful. Don't fool around with that bomb unless you know what you're doing.
Approaching the explosive and taking a look at it, there's technically nothing that can be done about it until the player reaches level 25 in their explosive skill. There are a few temporary buffs that can help you get there, like Mentats and Raider Blastmaster armor. Once you've reached the level requirement, disarming it is as simple as the press of a button. Oddly enough though, you'll notice that one of the options is to rig the bomb to detonate, although the game will tell you that you're missing a key requirement for this. Regardless, choosing the good and straightforward path, you can return to Lucas Sims for your reward.
I'll be damned. You did it, didn't you? You disarmed that thing. Here's your reward. Hell, why don't you move in? Could use someone like you. Got an empty place here you can use. Here's the key indeed. It ain't much to look at, but talk with Moira. She's got random odds and ends you might be able to spruce the place up with.
It's a nice little surprise that on top of the caps, you're also rewarded with a house in the city. If the player didn't know any better, you might have thought that was it for the power of the atom. Well, in fact, that's just the tip of the iceberg. After talking to Lucas Sims, the player can completely alter everything by paying a visit to Moriarty's saloon. Within the establishment, sitting in the corner of one of the side rooms, you'll spot a well-dressed man flagging you down. Approaching him, he gives you the offer of a lifetime.
My. Just when I had all but given up hope. My dear boy, I'm very happy to make your acquaintance. I am Mr. Burke. And you, well, you are not a resident of this putrescent cesspool. That makes you a rather valuable individual. Finally, someone with a modicum of civility and common sense. I represent certain interests, and those interests view this town, this Megaton, as a blight on a burgeoning urban landscape. You have no connections here, no interest in this cesspool's affairs or fate. You could assist us in erasing this little accident off the map. It seems I have misjudged you. Very well, I'll simply find someone with a more entrepreneurial spirit. Good day.
If you're repulsed by the idea, you can shoot down the offer and walk away. Although, while the bomb is still sitting idle, you can return to him at any point to rediscuss the matter.
The undetonated atomic bomb for which this town is named is still very much alive. All it needs is a little motivation. I have in my possession a fusion pulse charge, constructed for a singular purpose: the detonation of that bomb. You'll rig it to the bomb, then you'll get paid. handsomely. What do you say? Is that the best you can do? I'm afraid I'm not impressed. Sims is an idiot. He prides himself on his position as mayor and sheriff of this scrapyard. You mean, besides doing the world a favor by removing this pestilent scab of a town? Why, you'd be rewarded most handsomely. My employer is a very generous man. If it's bottle caps and luxury you're seeking, you shall have it. Excellent. I had a feeling about you. Here's the fusion pulse charge. It needs to be installed inside the bomb. When it's done, meet me at Tenpenny Tower. It's southwest of here, well out of harm's way. You can't miss it. Questions? Absolutely not. The place, the people, they're one and the same. Sacrifices for a nobler future. I assure you, they're worth 10 times as much in death as they are in life. Don't let me keep you.
With the missing puzzle piece of the fusion pulse charge in hand, the real havoc can begin. Before heading to Tenpenny Tower, however, there are still options and different ways to go over. For starters, the player can go and speak once more with Lucas Sims and tell him about what had just happened.
He said what? Oh, I never did like the look of him. You better stop playing games with me, boy. I told you, stop playing games with me. Now, run along before I decide to throw you in a cell for disturbing the peace.
Crying wolf too many times will lock you out of the preceding events that go down between Burke and Sims, so instead the player can choose to be honest.
Jesus, give me that thing. Let's go find this Burke character. You're about to get an education in wasteland justice.
The fusion pulse charge is handed over, blocking you from detonating the bomb. Following Sims, the two of you rush off to Moriarty's saloon and enter inside.
You there, Burke. Explain your business in Megaton.
I'm sorry. Sheriff, what are you hollering about?
You know damn well what I'm talking about. The bomb. You're trying to blow it up. Have you lost your goddamn mind?
Sheriff, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Someone has surely been spreading rumors. I'll be sure to address the situation personally.
I'm placing you under arrest, Burke. At least until I figure out what the hell's going on around here.
And I'm afraid I won't be able to oblige your request, Sheriff. I have pressing matters to attend to. Now, step aside.
This isn't open to discussion. You're coming with me.
Why do you knuckle-draggers always insist on doing things the hard way? Very well, Sheriff. Lead the way. I know. You've made a grievous error in judgment. Watch your back.
Long time coming. Good riddance.
Burke brutally guns down Sims and threatens the player. In this instance, Burke's offer is now gone, and the reward giver becomes Hardin Sims, Lucas's son. The disarming process is the same as when Lucas was still alive.
You did it! You disarmed that thing! My dad, he would have been real happy about that. Thank you. He wanted you to have these. A key and the deed to an empty place up behind the brass lantern. You can move in there if you want. Oh, and talk to Morat at Craterside Supply. She can help you decorate the place.
Of course, there's always the option of intervening in the murder. The player can kill Burke before he has the chance to gun down Sims. Doing so sparks this dialogue.
I must be getting slow in my old age. Thanks for saving my hide there.
From here, the player can go about disarming the bomb with no influence from Burke. Interestingly, if the player distracts Burke while he's attempting to kill Sims, the sheriff will exit the saloon and Burke will begin to attack the player. Even if Sims had successfully exited the saloon, he will still be found dead outside in accordance with his script. Responsibility for the quest is handed over to Hardin and continues as it did before. Now, should the player rig the bomb to detonate, it's important to note that there's no going back. Once the bomb is armed, it cannot be undone. The player can make their way over to Tenpenny Tower, which is located southwest of Megaton. Upon first arrival, you'll hear that Tenpenny Tower doesn't take kindly to all strangers.
How many times do we have to go through this? You're not getting in.
I can stand here all day yelling at you through this damn speaker if I have to. Can't you tell the difference between me and a feral? Fine, I'll show you the goddamn difference. Just you wait. You'll get yours, all of you.
I thought I told you to get the hell out of here. Tenpenny doesn't want your goddamn caps, and I don't want the goddamn headache. For the last time, get your rotten, ugly, goddamn ghoul ass off Mr. Tenpenny's private property. Oh, thought you were that damn ghoul. Well then, back to business as usual. You are trespassing on Alistair Tenpenny's private property. Ritter's an official business only. He's expecting you? Why didn't you say so right away? Just a moment. All right, come on in. But I warn you, we're watching you. Welcome to Tenpenny Tower. Don't do anything stupid.
Tenpenny Tower is quite a unique sight to see. A functional, tall, intact building that acts as a residence for all sorts of NPCs and characters. Alistair Tenpenny and Mr. Burke will be waiting for you higher up.
Ah yes, Mr. Burke is expecting you. He's waiting for you on the balcony. It's named after Alistair Tenpenny, who runs this building. He's got a bunch of rich guys that pay him to live in it. We're here to make sure that people like you don't mess up his deal.
The balcony in which you find the men is eastern facing, holding a perfect view of Megaton.
The pulse charge is rigged. Excellent. Excellent! Ah, the anticipation is palpable, isn't it? When you have finished savoring the moment, you may have the honor of pressing the button. Oh, and mind your eyes, it'll be brighter than bright.
Alistair himself has a very interesting reason for conducting this sort of business.
Fancy that! A visitor! I seldom get visitors, which is a tiresome shame, because I'm usually relentlessly bored out of my right mind. All of these confounded people fluster about like I'm made of eggshells and about to fall to pieces at any moment. I'm surprised they even let you in. So, what do you think of my fine tower here? It's quite the jewel of the wasteland, isn't it? I dare say I'm quite proud of it myself. Rubbish! You must be daft! Look around! Where else in the wasteland have you seen such magnificence, I ask you? I had the great fortune to run into Mr. Burke, an absolute gem of a man. He certainly has a way of getting done what needs to get done, doesn't he? Then it was a matter of getting the right type of tenants with the right type of assets. And the rest is, as they say, history. I complained offhand one day about how I thought that heap of metal on the horizon was a bit of an eyesore. Mr. Burke offered to take care of it. Burke is such an agreeable man, isn't he? I don't know how I got along without him. I practically don't have to think about things anymore. He takes care of everything. I seldom even have to ask. He's a real go-getter, that one. We need more men like him if we're going to rebuild the world. Oh, no, I'm certainly rather sore about all of that, but certain sacrifices must be made. Besides, Burke assured me that bomb was quite unstable. I asked Burke to suggest they vacate. It was all a matter of time. Think of it as helping speed along the process of natural selection. Don't lose any sleep over it.
Approaching the detonator, there's a two-step process before the thing can be activated. Once the player is sure, the magic happens.
I almost wish there was
My God, what transcendent beauty! What purifying light! Allow me to collect myself, as I'm sure you're anxious to collect your payment. I have been asked to extend to you an invitation to reside at Tenpenny Tower. Here's the key and deed to your new master's suite. It's on the top floor, first door on your right from the elevator. Enjoy your new accommodations. Oh, and if you wish to spruce the place up a bit, speak with Lydia Montenegro in the Boutique Les Chic.
You end up receiving more caps, provided you are unsuccessful with persuading Lucas Sims, and also a new place to live in. The only caveat, of course, is that the whole town of Megaton is gone, and its people with it. Well, most people, that is.
Hey, is that you? Oh, my head's still ringing from that explosion. What happened? Oh, that's a real nice thing to say. Of course it's me. What's with the weird look? Don't you remember who I am? Did you hurt your head in that big explosion? Don't be silly. I just got some gunk on my face after the explosion. But that doesn't explain why it peels away in strips. Ugh, and oozes. You know what? I think I'm turning into a ghoul. This is fascinating. Now, where can a ghoul like me go to study these effects in peace? You know, this is just the perfect excuse to visit Rivet City. But while I'm heading downtown, I've been meaning to check out the museum. Who knows what I'll find? Anyway, see you downtown, one way or the other.
Interestingly, Megaton is arguably less appealing now than it was before for Tenpenny's view, but it does take up less of the horizon, so he does have that going for him. Ultimately, the Power of the Atom is a quest that holds a lot of influence over a lot of NPCs within the Wasteland. Blowing it up results in a massive hit to your karma and one less safe haven in the Wasteland, but gets you in with a new group of people and a new home nearby. The alternative is to disarm the bomb, create stronger relationships with people you already know, and gain a home in Megaton, but you create an enemy out of very powerful people. Whichever path the player decides to take, it alters their fate in one way or another. With that, thus ends the quest, The Power of the Atom.